I'd like to read the station disclaimer to you so that we're all on the same page before we start. Angel Heart radio program should not be used to replace your legal, medical, nor professional advice, nor your own sound judgment. You are a divine spark. You are universal light. You are here on purpose. You are part of a divine plan, and it is our joy to support you. So welcome once again to Angel Heart Radio. Thank you for joining us. And if you are anywhere but on Angel Heart Radio Facebook page, may I encourage you to go over there, because then you can converse and join the discussion with Carol Anne Cross and myself. And we love to have discussion, don't we, Carol Anne?
We certainly do. And hello, everybody. And I'm really happy to be here today. And no, I'm just looking forward. I always look forward to my monthly chats with Annette, because we just get on so well, and everything just seems to flow. And I'm sure it's going to happen again today. So thank you, Annette, for having me here today.
Thank you, Carol Anne. Isn't our topic fantastic? I just felt really, what's the word, warm and cozy when I thought, let's discuss the elementals, because as a child, I certainly believed in fairies and was fascinated by the song Puff the Magic Dragon.
Yes.
And little did I know that now, as a 66-year-old, they're very much a part of my life.
Yes, and they're a major part of my life, and I absolutely love them, and I love working with them. And I think if we can step into that beautiful place of love and just sort of letting go, not getting caught up in the hassles of everyday life. I mean, we have to live our physical life on this planet. That's where we are at this time. But if we sort of step into the almost magical world of the elementals, and we have, the fairies and the pixies and the gnomes, and that's the earth elements, and the gnomes are the earth elements because they work with the ground, and they bring about keeping our beautiful planet, the earth, and everything is just, they maintain our earth. So, for example, if somebody dropped a piece of fruit or something like that as though they were wandering around, of course, accidentally, you wouldn't deliberately leave it there. The gnomes are the ones who break that down and put it back into the earth to then nourish anything that's going to come up in the earth just there. And I love it when you can go outside, and today is a beautiful sunny day in Brisbane. And so you can go outside and you can see the sun glistening and reflecting on the flowers and on the leaves, and just let your imagination go, because there really is a fairy in that little beautiful flower. And when we can connect with this beautiful energy, it just takes you to a different place, because you can just for a little while forget about the physical world and everything that's happening. And you can step into this fairyland. And, they really are there. If you just stop, and even if you can't see them with your physical eyes, allow your mind to see them and to feel their energy, because they're there.
They are. I love finding fairy rings with the rings of toadstools and mushrooms, and just imagining that, oh, wow, the fairies are sitting under the mushrooms.
Yeah, that's right. And like when we look up into the sky, and we can see the clouds blowing around in the sky, making all these shapes and beautiful things. And that's the sylphs. The sylphs are like a sylph is like a big fairy, and their wings are much bigger than a fairy's wings because they're way up there being blown around by the clouds. And so they're part of the air element. And so, you know, when you can look up into the sky and look at the clouds being formed, you're not only going to see the sylphs, you're going to see the dragons, and you're going to see all sorts of things that when we step into this other place. It is just so kind and compassionate and loving. And you know, this is I think this is a place that we need to more or less escape to sometimes in this everyday life, because, you know, we don't have to be caught up in drama. So drama's all around us, but we don't have to step into that drama place. We can choose not to. And so all of the elementals help us to do that.
Absolutely. Now, Gabby has joined us this morning. Welcome, Gabby. And Anaya, of course, is there as well. She's preparing for your show, Carol Anne. And, of course, you and Anaya are on every week, half an hour after my show finishes. So Thursdays in Australia are fabulous days on Angel Heart Radio, and of course we're very fortunate because we have people on other days as well. And of course, if people are unable to be with us live, there's always the opportunity to catch up later. So explore all that is on Angel Heart Radio.
We have some absolutely amazing presenters on Angel Heart Radio, and as well as, of course, Annette and Anaya. But, you know, we've got Terry Angel and Deb Goldberg, and just some amazing, and Silva in Italy.
From Rome.
Oh, yes. You know, like I love Silva, and the fact that she can talk to you about a subject. And she can be translating as she's talking. You know, she's saying half of it in the show in English and half in Italian, because she's bringing the world of the angels to the people in Italy and the people who don't speak English. And so Angel Heart Radio is expanding far and wide throughout the world. And you know, we're just so blessed to be a part of this show. And you know, I think this is what it's all about. It's about love and kindness and caring for one another, and that's a very big part of life.
Yes, it is, and sometimes we can let that slip. So it's really, I love having the reminders that bring me back. Like this morning, I found myself singing, and it really raised my vibration. It's like, hey, yes, haven't done that for a while. Simply impulsively. I mean, I'm very fortunate because I have a couple of virtual choirs that I'm involved in. But it was, you know, I've been aware that I've probably been a little down maybe, and it was so good to be feeling inspired this morning.
Yeah, and this is it. It's all about lifting our vibration, and that's what singing does. And I love it when I sort of, I'm not a very good singer, so I usually do it when no one can hear me. But you know, whereas you have that choice all the time. But there's some amazing stuff for us to do on the internet while we are, you know, at home and perhaps feeling a little bit. I'm not going to say trapped, but that we don't have the freedom that we might have had a little while ago. But, you know, there's an old saying, this too will pass. And that's true. It will pass. And so there's so many opportunities for us to do things like singing and exploring all sorts of stuff. And the internet is just, it's come into its own, and it makes you realise how blessed we are in Australia that we do have the internet. If, for example, in April, just quickly, my granddaughter turned 12, and of course we couldn't see them. We couldn't go anywhere near them. And so we did her birthday party on Zoom, and we played games on Zoom, and then we watched it. We sang happy birthday to her, to cut a cake and all of that. So, you know, we are just so blessed that we have these opportunities. And then we have all of the elementals to help us along the way.
That's right. And I'm thinking, Carol Anne, for the people who maybe, this is new information for them, of course, that's when the internet is fabulous, because we can explore, what do we mean by elementals? Oh, my goodness. Are fairies real? Are there gnomes and pixies and dragons? When I first realised that dragons were real and they're there to assist us, it's like, oh my goodness, they're great at clearing traffic.
Wonderful at clearing traffic. Wonderful. And the thing to remember is that the dragons work like the angels. You have to ask them. They can't step into your lives, but you have to ask them. And I did a show on the weekend with Angel and Enlightened World Network, talking about the connection between the archangels and the dragons. And so, they're all interlinked. But what I love is it was funny because the boys next door to us were putting up a fence. And you can imagine they were making rather a lot of noise. So I just talked to my angel and my dragon, I talked to my dragon and I said, do you think you could sort of send the boys away for just a little while, maybe go and have their morning tea or something like that? And sure enough, within 10 minutes, I couldn't hear the noise that they'd been making. And they were putting up a metal fence, so you can imagine it was pretty noisy. And so, there's little things like that. And when Barry and I were in Canada a few years ago for Christmas, and so it was minus 29 degrees one day, so it was cold. But I would just say to my angels and to my dragon every day as we were about to drive out along the road, I would ask my dragon Dusty, I would ask the angels to keep us safe and a good journey without hold-ups and things. But I would also ask Dusty, my dragon, to clear the road so that we didn't have any accidents while we were driving, because we weren't used to driving through snow, because we live in Brisbane, so we don't have a lot of snow up here in Brisbane. And so, we didn't have a problem, but we saw lots of cars that had gone off the road and, they sort of had real problems, but we did not have a problem. And I think that it helped my husband to realise, there are such a thing. It doesn't mean he's ever going to ask the dragon to do anything like that. But, it was really good to be able to have that physical confirmation, really, it's what it was. And so, the elementals, you love the angels and you believe in the angels and everybody, well, then you can believe and love and step into the world of fairies and the dragons.
We're so fortunate, aren't we, to have these wonderful beings who are there to help us. So if you are unsure, you go, believe in the Chinese dragons when there's lots of people in them. There really are dragons there, and I know the people out there can introduce you to the dragons, just as Carol Anne has this morning. Beautiful. I love the way that you have your personal dragon, Carol Anne.
Yeah, well, we do. We all have a personal dragon. And so, we did a meditation on Angel Heart Radio when I first started talking about the dragons for everybody to meet their dragon. But you don't even have to do a meditation. If you haven't met your dragon, you can just sit quietly and you can ask your dragon to make itself known to you. And it will. It's just like the same as when we want to meet the angels and everybody. So it's very easy to meet your dragon. And one of the things that I have been doing with, I sent all of the dragons out when there's difficult situations around the world. And one of the things I did with the dragons, and I'm sure there were thousands of other people who were doing the same thing, when the accident happened in Beirut and there was the major explosion.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I asked all the dragons to go to Beirut, because you can ask them to burn off the negativity, to burn away the fear, and to burn away all of the things that are so negative, and transmute it into love. And then I asked for Kuan Yin, who's one of the Ascended Masters. She has beautiful pink dragons, and they're all about healing and love and compassion. So then you ask Kuan Yin's angels to come in and help with the situation, to bring some compassion and love and healing to the area. So once we start working with the elementals and the dragons and the angels and everybody, we can never say there was nothing we could do. Because, we can hear and know about all sorts of things, but there's no need to feel helpless about it, because you can call on the support that is there. We have an amazing team of support out there to help us. We have the angels, and we have the elementals, we have the dragons, we have our totem animals, we have all of this team that's here waiting to help us. We just have to ask. That's the important thing.
So true. We are so fortunate because there are so many beings out there ready to assist us. So we can change who we call on for different things. The world, honestly, that saying, the world is our oyster. Well, there are so many different worlds, if you like, that we can enter. And especially at this time when, yes, some of us are in lockdown, so to speak. Well, let's use the time productively. We've been given this for a reason. It's a pause, as Mother Mary said right in the beginning. And so rather than thinking, I've got X weeks of this, no, let's turn that around. I must admit I did, Carol Anne, with a particular project that I've got. I thought, okay, I can do this, and I broke it down into parts. And it's wonderful to know that, yes, I've got this time that I didn't expect to have.
Yeah, and this is it. It's about, instead of looking at this time as a negative, look at it as a positive. And if you can't be all excited and really positive about it, just go part way. Step away from the negative, because something that we all need to realise is that we're exactly where we're meant to be at this time. No matter what your beliefs are, that's a fact. We're where we're meant to be at this time. We asked to be here in this lifetime when this was happening. Now, we may never know why, but I just sort of look at it, okay, I'm meant to be here. I can do what I can do. And so, but I try not to get caught up in the negativity. It does not mean that I don't have a day sometimes that I feel a little bit down and I feel a little bit whacked and feel like I'm not quite grounded and on my axis and everything, because this is, we're spirit in a physical body, in a human body, having a human experience. This is the only place we can incarnate that we have free will and we have emotion. And sometimes that free will and emotion can get a bit out of hand. But, it's then about coming back into our heart space and thinking about what is happening. What can I do to change my thoughts? I can't change anybody else's thoughts, and I can't change anybody else's beliefs, but I can change mine. And by my thoughts and feelings radiating out to others, then that can help their energy and their vibration to lift. Because, we're all part of the whole. And I know that when I would go out walking, when we're in lockdown, because, you can go out for an hour or whatever's exercise. We have a little bit more freedom in Queensland at the moment because, we've sort of, at the moment, it's a bit settled. But when we could just go out for an hour or so and walk, I would try to, I wouldn't try. I would deliberately smile and say hello to everybody I came across. Now, if you've got a mask on, you can't really see a smile, but a smile lights up your eyes as well as your face. And so people would be able to see you smiling. So, and, you know, if you're walking down the road and someone's got their head down and like, you know, hello, have a good day, and just keep walking. You don't have to break into a great conversation with them, but it's like, hello, what was that mad woman talking about, sort of thing. But, you know, it's broken that negative energy they had. Now, I know a lot of things are happening now. People are stepping into their own feelings and what they want to do. And that's fine and good, because we're all on our own individual journey. So it's not up to us to try and change anyone else's mind. But what I suggest is a good thing. If you're feeling a bit down, make yourself a cuppa, and go and sit out on your patio, or sit down like you've got some plants behind you there, Annette. If you can't go outside because it's raining or cold or whatever, just sit down near your plants and just relax, and you'll be able to feel the universal life force energy that is all around you. It's all around us all the time. That's what makes the flowers grow, the trees grow, everything. And that's what helps with our healing. So if we can go into a nice relaxing space and just be aware of the universal life force energy that's all around us, and I'll bet that if you're sitting next to a little flower in a pot, or you're looking out at your garden and you just totally relax into it, you will be aware of the fairies and the pixies and the garden and nature's sprites. Even if you can't see them, you'll still be able to feel a beautiful, magical energy that just helps you to just step out of that place that you were in before. And I think that's to me is something that's really, really good. It's funny, the other day, I'll just tell this tiny little bit of a story. It's funny, the other day I was talking to Ruth on Enlightened World Network, and I said, you know, just go out and sit next to a pot plant. And she said, a pot plant? Carol, she said, over here we can legally grow marijuana. Is that the sort of pot plant you're talking about? I had a really good old laugh about that. And I said, well, undoubtedly there's probably a fairy or a pixie there, because if it's medical marijuana, and no matter what it is, it can be a weed. There's still going to be fairies and pixies and elves and gnomes and all of these beautiful little magical creatures who are really there.
Yeah, so that's a really good treat, isn't it? You know, take yourself out, if you can, into the garden, or as Carol Anne said, use a pot plant, or you know, a special area in sunshine. See fairies and elementals dancing in the sunshine before your very eyes.
And this is it, you know. Go on. No, so go on.
Marnie Perner has joined us, and Marnie mentioned totem animals. And I must admit, as well as totem animals, I'm aware, Carol Anne, when an animal or a bird or an insect comes into my space, it's a case of, oh, okay, what's the message? And I'm very fortunate. If I'm unsure myself, I have the backing of Scott Alexander King in his book on animal dreaming. And so it's wonderful to get the messages from them as well.
It is. And, you know, this is when we can stop and pause for a moment and just think about, wow, look at all that is around us. And, you know, the lizards, and I had some owls in one of my trees a little while ago, and they used to tell me when they were there, and I go and talk to them and get the message. And so we have all of these amazing, amazing things. And it's no coincidence when they come to give us a message, because we're meant to get that message. And I have that same book, and I just think it's wonderful to be able to draw on that book. So,
absolutely. Because
we also have, sorry, go on.
Scott always points out too that it might be a picture that we see. You know, we might pass somebody and they're wearing a T-shirt with an animal or an emblem, and that can be a very important message for us.
Yeah, there's no coincidences in any of these things. You know, and that's one of my favourite sayings. There's no coincidences in anything. So, because it's just so true. But I was just going to say, we also have the elementals for water. So we have the water sprites, and we have the water dragons, and we have the undines, and you know, like if you go down to, if you're fortunate enough to have a little stream or something going through a park, if you can't go very far and can't go into a national park or something like that, you know, you just sit by the water. And you just watch the water and you see the water flowing, and you'll be able to understand and realise and see the energy and the elementals that are within that water, because, you know, they're all there. And to me, one of the blessings that has happened with the whole world being brought to a slowdown is the fact that this is helping the elementals to bring Mother Earth back to life. You know, like the waters are so much clearer because there's not the big boats, you know, going through and dropping all of their oils and things like that. And there's not the people sort of throwing so much plastic into the water because they're not out and about. And so then in the air, there's not so many cars around. So the air's not being so polluted. And the ground, the earth, is coming back to life. And so the elementals are helping to bring Mother Earth back to where she needs to be. Because let's face it, Mother Earth was in a bad way. And she was sending us lots of messages, you know, like with the volcanoes and everything, and saying, wake up, human beings, wake up. And so, you know, we had to wake up. We came to a sudden halt, and we had to sort of slow down. And you know, like in places like Venice, I don't know if you've ever been to Venice, but in Venice that water can be quite revolting. But they've now got dolphins and swans in the canals in Venice because they're so clean again. And that's just one little example. And so when we think about you know, we've had to stop doing things, but it's enabled Mother Earth to come back to partway to where she needs to be. And we're talking about the water, the dragons, the dolphins and the whales, when they're in beautiful water, which they are in Australia, they're migrating down the coast of Australia at the moment in very large numbers. They sing the harmony of the earth, and they bring Mother Earth back into harmony because they're singing the harmony, the songs to bring her back into balance and into life, because she needs to have balance just like we need balance in our lives. You know, it's not always easy to balance our physical human life with a spiritual life and with everything that's happening in the world. And so balance is very important in our lives. And if the elementals can help us to bring that balance into our lives, I just think it's just so fascinating.
Indeed. Now, Carol Anne, am I correct in saying that there are elementals that representing the 4 areas of fire, air, water?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. So the elemental who represents fire is the salamander. So the salamander looks a bit like a bigger lizard. Although I had a friend who had a salamander that used to appear every time I went to her place. It was absolutely huge. I said to it one day, "You're a water dragon." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm a salamander." So salamanders are the guardians of fire.
Mm-hmm.
So they're here to help control and to contain flames and fire. And so, but we need to also realise that a lot of the areas in the world, fire is needed for regeneration of those places.
Yes.
And in Australia, we have a lot of our native trees and plants that can only, the seeds need to be burnt to enable the seeds then to be able to grow into a new tree or plant or whatever it happens to be.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the fact that the salamanders represent fire, they're always there for healing. Because when healing is happening, so just stepping back for a moment. So to me, healing, we don't heal a person. The universal life force energy heals, gives the person the energy for their own body to heal. But in order to do that, and this is from, I can say this because it happened to me. In order for us to heal, we have to look at the metaphysical reason for why whatever we've got happened. And then we have to release our thoughts about that in order to heal. Yes, we need the people who come and put their hands on and do Reiki and all of those things to give us the energy to heal. But we heal from our own wisdom. But why the salamanders are around when healing happens is they burn up all of that negativity and all of those thoughts that we've got rid of, because they have a transformative quality, and that's part of what a salamander does. Does that make sense? I feel like I just babbled for a minute then.
No, it does. I'm very grateful for that information, because I can call on a salamander to take away, yes, my thoughts that no longer serve me.
That's right. They transmute it, and then they can be turned into a positive energy. And that goes out into the universal life force energy that's here for all of us. And so, dragons are also associated with fire, but that's only because of, they breathe the fire. But and an interesting fact I read the other day, I can't remember where I read it because I've been doing a lot of research lately, and they said that if ever you can't get a fire to light, for whatever reason, ask a salamander to help you, and you'll be able to light the fire. Now, I know there's a lot of destructive fires that happened all around the world, but that's happening because that's part of the regeneration, not only of that area, but regeneration of Mother Earth. And so that's a big subject, though, so we won't fully go into that at the moment. So that's fire element. Earth element is fairies and the gnomes, who I said before, they help to maintain the physical structure of the earth, and they help us to tune in with Mother Earth's energy. So when we're feeling, sometimes we might feel that, we're not quite right. So we know that we need to ground ourselves to get us back to a place of where we're feeling that, we're right, we're in alignment, we can keep moving forward in our life. So the gnomes help us do that, because when we ground ourselves down into Mother Earth. So we use Mother Earth to help ground us. And this is where the gnomes help us, as well as looking after, the soil, they look after the earth. And the other interesting thing is that the gnomes look after wounded animals, like out in the forest or out in the woodlands or wherever. The gnomes help to look after wounded animals, which I think is just amazing. So as well as the gnomes for the earth element, we have fairies and pixies and elves, also crystals, stones, and all of these things. And I think it's quite fascinating that, you can talk to a stone, you can talk to a rock, and you can definitely talk to a crystal, because a crystal tells you if it's the right crystal for you. I know sometimes I could be walking in a shop and it's like, Carol, come back here. And so and I will go over and I will look. There'll be a big container of crystals, but the one I'm meant to have will let me know. And then I pick it up and I can hold it in my hand, and I'll know that that's the one I was meant to have. It's fascinating. You know, this whole subject to me is just fascinating. And so, so that's the earth one. So then we have the water. So the sylphs, they look after the air. And so their domain is the sky and the wind and the clouds. And so that's why we can look up at the sky sometimes and we can see the sylphs and we can see all the shapes in the clouds. And they, the source air is like the source of energy. So it can be called chi or prana or ki. I like to call it life force energy, because I just, you know, you walk out sometimes and you can just feel this beautiful energy that's all around you. And I just think to myself, how blessed are we to be living here and to have this beautiful energy all around us.
Indeed.
So then we have the water spirits. Oh, sorry, did you want to say anything about that?
Well, Gabby was saying it's a magical, tingly energy that she loves.
This is it, you know, and Gabby has just the most amazing connection to the dragons and the sylphs. Her art and her paintings are just awesome. And, you know, she has this magical connection. And when she does her paintings, she shows their, I won't say she captures because she doesn't capture it, but she can show their energy. She can show their flow. She can, it's just beautiful. And I really, really love Gabby's paintings of the sylphs and of the dragons. And, you know, I'm just so blessed that, you know, she chooses to share them with us. It's just really wonderful. Okay, so the water sprites, they're referred to as undines, Undines, and they look after the bodies of water that's all around. And if you stop and think about water, it's governed by the moon, isn't it? So the moon governs the tides and all of those things, and it governs emotions. And I know many, many people who are affected by a full moon. They have no example or reasoning for it, but they're really affected by a full moon. And this is what's just so exciting. And the undines, they can work with our intuition, our imagination, and all of these wonderful things. So, you know, if you stare at the water, like one of my favorite places to go is the beach. And I can just sit and I can watch the water. I can watch the waves and I can feel the energy and I can feel the water elements, and it's just beautiful. So there's also water sprites. They're sort of like the cheeky ones in the water. And of course, then we need to think about mermaids.
Wow, of course.
Of course. So, you know, it's really interesting because we know there are mermaids. We know that that sailors in ancient times would hear the singing of the mermaids. And yet, interestingly, from what I can gather, science have never found a skeleton or anything like that to prove that there's mermaids. But we jolly well know there's mermaids, don't we? So, you know, and this to me is it. So what have we done? We've done earth, fire, air and water.
We've done them all.
Yay. So, you know, and another thing that we need to think about too, I just noticed a little line I wrote down here. Fairies. There are two kinds of fairies. There's solitary fairies that can be found around flowers. And there's fairy troops who usually take care of trees. And so, you know, it's just, we're only really limited by what we allow our imagination and our intuition to pick up. Indeed. Because talking about trees, then trees all have a spirit. Have you ever sat down beside a tree and felt its energy? Have you ever talked to a tree? It's really, really awesome. Really awesome.
Another lovely idea. Now, Gabby is very, very grateful to you, Carol Anne. She loves you, don't we all?
Gabby.
And Gabby's saying that it was you that brought the elementals into her world. How amazing.
Yeah, but you know that and it is, you know, like, because we had that we talked about them, and because, you know, Gabby has such a strong connection that hadn't been sort of really opened up until then that allowed that to open up, and I believe that this is part of why I'm here at this moment, because that's of other reasons I'm here, but it's to be able to share this with everyone and to let them know that they can step into this beautiful, beautiful energy. And that, you know, if they're feeling down and just feeling that, you know, like, why is all this happening? I don't like it. Then they can step into another place. You know, they don't have to stay there. And, you know, to me, if you can meditate, that's wonderful. But not everybody can meditate. So, you know, this is getting back to sitting down there beside the tree or beside the flower, the pot plant, or whatever, and just relaxing. Because if you can just sit there and just tune out of your thoughts, if you get a thought, you know, that's a bit negative, okay, I recognise you, but you can go away now, because this is my space. This is where I want to be, into a nice, peaceful, relaxing place. And the more that we do that, the easier it becomes. And so even when we're out doing our little bit of exercise, we could be walking past people's gardens and feel the energy coming from the garden, and look at the, you know, oh, what if there's a fairy there? You don't necessarily have to see it, but it's about changing your vibration, changing what you're putting out there into the world, changing your energy, because we have so many wonderful opportunities to do that. It's just about us making the time and the effort. And let's face it, we have got the time at the moment. Declutter those negative thoughts and replace them with beautiful, loving thoughts.
Yes, it's a choice, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Gabby's saying that she's feeling today is an Undine Day. And am I saying that the right way?
Yeah.
And she's trying to do a
good... Oh, is she going to paint an Undine for us? Oh, I'm excited.
She's wanting to hold your torch with you, spreading the word.
Oh, thank you, Gabby. I'm so excited, and I'm honoured that you want to do that, because this is it. We can, if we can get these out into the world, and the people who are meant to accept them and follow them and believe them and all of those things, they will. So, you know, if we can just do a bit at a time and a bit at a time, not put any stress on ourselves or anyone else, just letting that beautiful energy flow through us and to put it out there into the world. Because if we're putting this beautiful energy into our aura, then our aura, if we're walking down the road, our aura is touching everybody we go past. And so, you know, they're getting that energy. And with my meditation group at one stage, what we would do, we would go down into Mother Earth. We would send our roots down into Mother Earth to ground us. Then we would bring up some of Mother Earth's feminine energy, because her energy is feminine, and put it into our aura, so that helped to balance the heavy masculine energy that was at that time all around planet Earth. So, you know, if we can get some feminine, gentle energy out there, then that all helps us and it helps everybody. Because, you know, if we can just be a being of love and sending love and beautiful energy out and kindness and compassion, then all our bits are going to join up together. It's like all the bits on the tapestry are all going to join up together, and we're going to be able to help to bring that about. So, you know, it's really and truly up to each and every one of us. And, you know, I know that there's some people who will agree with all that we're saying today, but there's other people who will question it. And that's great, because
Yes.
I want you to question it, and I want you to go out and experience it for yourself. Not just take our word at it, but to go and experience it for yourself. And then, you know, it's amazing how your energy can change when you just step into that place. You're not going to be like that 24/7. I'm not like that 24/7. You know, I live a very human life as well. But, you know, if we can be changing a little bit at a time, then all those little bits are going to add up.
Absolutely. Yes, Gabby's saying the world is a truly magical place. We just need to open ourselves to it. And that's so true. And of course, it is our choice. If we want to remain morose and down, well, we can. Or we can choose to change it. And what we're saying today, Carol Anne, along with Gabby and others who have joined us, we've got the choice to make that decision. No, when we wake up of a morning, okay, is it going to be a good day? Despite what happens, and especially, you know, they're saying, I got out on the wrong side of the bed. Well, the thing is, you can actually get back in and get out and
the other side. Yeah, this is it. We have a choice. We have free will. You know, and if we can express our gratitude for all that we have, you know, for this, all the things we have in our human life, all the things in our spiritual life, our gratitude that we have this beautiful universal life force energy to breathe and to bring in to help heal our body, the elementals that can help us and play with us and live with us and show us how it all works, and the salamanders that can burn away any negative energy that's happened when we've been doing our healing work, sending the dragons out. You know, can watch the news, and if you do watch the news, something's a bit upsetting, okay, just send it love. Send it love. You know, I this is what I do if I'm watching the news. I just send it love. And so, you know, that can make a major difference. What's happening in the world. We may not experience why it's making a difference or know why it's making a difference, but we need to just trust that it is making a difference. And it is. Believe it.
The more we can live through love, as you say, you know, the simple things of smiling. If I smile, I feel good, as well as hopefully lifting the spirits of somebody who I've smiled at.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, even if I'm moving around the house, all of a sudden I might realise that I've probably got a sour look on my face or whatever. And so breaking into a smile breaks that, breaks up that energy. So it's up to us. You know, the world is our oyster. It is a magical place, Gabby. And I'd really like other people to get that vibe, you know, no matter what's happening. And sure, there are some tough situations out there. However, and it's really important, isn't it, Carol Anne, that when we realise that we are in a tough spot, it's to be able to change that, to think of something that we're grateful for and snap that energy, create a new positive one.
Yes, we don't have to stay there. We have a choice to step out of it. And, you know, like you were doing today, we can just burst into song, sing a song and, you know, dance like nobody's watching, because if you're at home doing your housework or whatever, nobody probably is watching. And, you know, so there's so many things that we can do to step out of that place, because if we're in that place of negativity, the only person we're affecting is ourselves. And so you don't want to bring all that heaviness and negativity down on yourself, because you're only affecting you. And so, yes, they might say, but I'm part of a crowd, I'm part of a group. Yes, you are. But it's how you've reacted and how you're acting, because you can only affect yourself. This is your journey in life. You're the only one who can do it. And so it's up to you what you do about it. Because if you change your energy, your vibration goes out into your aura, that helps you and it'll help the people you come into contact with.
There's a great saying, Carol Anne, that when I realise that I have a problem, that's the best time to work on it. And the thing is, if we don't, well, then it's there at the back of our mind, maybe in the forefront of our mind, and it really impacts on us. So that's a little practical tip. You know, if we think this, okay, what am I able to do about this? And sometimes it's as simple as, you say, sending love to the person or the situation. You know, this
because when we're being negative about a person, we're actually setting up a cord of connection to that person. And we don't want to be connected to that person because, you know, we're not happy with what's happening with that person. So don't step into that place. If you have been like that and you've connected to someone that you don't want to be connected to, ask Archangel Michael to break the cord. You know, there's so many opportunities we have out there to change our thoughts and our energies, and it's all about how we react and what we put out there.
I'm inspired, and I trust that our audience are inspired too, no matter when they're looking at this, Carol Anne. Now, we know that we have people watching live, and I'd like to thank you all for being with us today. And I'd also like to thank the people who will watch this down the track, those who will find us on Blog Talk Radio and listen to the audio. Aren't we so fortunate today? Because when we're walking, we can be listening to podcasts.
Yes.
And we can be doing housework and be listening to podcasts.
Look, you know, we are just so blessed to be living in this time. We really are. And as I said to my grandchildren a little while ago, I said, I hope you're making notes about things that are happening at this time. Because I said, do you realise that you're living history? Time to come, this will be, people will talk about 2020 and you'll be part of history. So, you know, there's all sorts of things. And I was reading a funny thing this morning. A lady was saying she was an 80-year-old woman who does a lot of podcasts and does a lot of work. And she said what she's loving at the moment with Zoom and doing it like this, she said, I can do my hair, my makeup, and put a nice top on. And I can have my pajama pants and my slippers on. And she said, and I can do a great job. And I thought, I love you, lady. I really do. I just thought, how good is that? How blessed are we to be able to do this? And let's face it, Angel Heart Radio, we haven't been on Vision always. You and Anaya have been going for 10 years. But, you know, that was on radio to start off with. But now it's wonderful because this is talking about the smiling and the faces and everything. And we can see one another. And I just think that's wonderful.
It is. We are so blessed. And how interesting that Anaya brought us into this particular age earlier or towards the end of last year. And then so we were ready for this situation that we had no idea was going to happen.
No, it's really interesting. It's very exciting. So, you know, we are just so lucky and so blessed.
Well, we are, and it's not lost on me that it's the year 2020, and we all like to think that we've got 2020 vision. So it's a case of, well, okay,
yes,
what is it that I need to see, that I need to realise is why is this happening for me at the moment?
Yeah. Yes. So think about what your thoughts are. That sounds a bit double dutch, but it's sort of when you get into this negative place, for the people who do that, think about what thought took you down into that negative place and what you need to do to change that thought and bring about love and peace and compassion in your life.
Carol Anne, it has been a joy as always. Gabby's very grateful, and she says it's always a pleasure and always inspirational. That's what we like to hear, because I would like to think that as well as learning myself, I'm able to enable other people to learn something. I've certainly learned some things this morning, Carol Anne. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, I've been honoured to be here and to talk to Gabby. And hi, Gabby. And I just love you, Gabby, and I'm just so happy that we have this beautiful connection, and I'm happy that everybody else is out there, and I hope you've enjoyed the show.
Yes. And Carol Anne, you're coming back very shortly with Annette. So everybody, go and stretch your legs. Although, of course, we have to sit down to present the show. However, our audience can be doing lots of different things while they're listening or watching. So thank you for joining us wherever you are at the moment. And if by any chance this is the first time for you, please explore Angel Heart Radio, angelheartradio.com, or an even more exciting place to visit is angellight777.com, Anaya Joy O'Leary's website. Absolutely amazing.
Awesome.
What is there for everybody.
Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, so give yourself a treat. Woo!
Yeah. That's it. So thank you, everybody, for being here, and thank you for Annette. It's been a really inspirational, as you said, show, and I've enjoyed it immensely. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next month.
Yes. Wonder where we'll be at then, Carol Anne.
Oh, exactly.
In spring, that's for sure. So
yes, that'd be good.
And those elsewhere will be entering fall. Oh, the wonders of this amazing planet. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Carol Anne.
Okay, thank you, Annette, and thank you, everybody, for